Voice of the people. And so I want to hear what you're thinking and saying and feeling and doing. It's all about personalization in the yearbook. You can pick up your mama's yearbook, your grandmother's yearbook, your aunt's, your uncle's, and it's going to have a very static flavor. Same old, same old, same old, same old. My first challenge to you will be to please take all your 2016, 15, 14, 13, yada, 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 and I want you to hide those books. And I'm deliberate when I say this. Your beginning staffers, how many in here are beginners? Let me see hands. Yes, terrific. I love the whole notion of thinking like a beginner because you have no prejudice whatsoever. You're anticipating a good time in your books. And we're out to give you that experience as well as solid journalism. The moment you leave those volumes in that yearbook lab, a beginner will go right to one of the back yearbooks, the old yearbook. Did you veteran people maybe do this too? And look at what they did last year or the year before? And then we see a hefty dose of that again in your 2017 possibly. So I know I'm giving your advisor Tourette's when I say this, but I want you to haul those books out. I want you to stash them away because we're all about new. We are not all about anything that they might possibly in their recollection have understood, liked, and wanted to see again. So I'm going to let you read the script. I apologize for having to use PowerPoint, but we have about 300 people in here. So it's impossible to personalize. Normally, I really like a conversation, and I'll call on people. And it scares some people. It's like, OMG, look over there, don't look at me. But just kind of give a glance. I looked at this. This is in a professional magazine, and I thought, why is it that I can open up a yearbook and go through the whole thing and never understand a story from an individual who's exceeded his or her limits? Bad idea. You guys should be on the lookout for someone who's done the unexpected. Someone who's pushed limits and taken risks. They have a great story to tell. And I sure appreciate your taking that risk and telling us what's on their mind. Come on. That's something I want to read, and I want to see the photograph that goes with it. Do you like that texture that's created by those snowy trees and the slice that is created by the skin? Yeah. The slice in the snow represents a curve. And whenever you see a curve in a photograph, and Holly and my friends who are photo professionals could probably add to this, but an S-curve adds drama, an S-curve adds power, an S-curve adds synergy. If your story is written well, it's going to have verbal synergy. We want the visual synergy as a complement. All right, why is it when I open a yearbook I don't see type used this way? I want us to begin to see things in contrasts. Write it down, please. Let's see it in contrast. Let's see large and small. They call me the whisperer because I speak so softly. So let's hear some soft. Let's hear some bold, loud, robust, gutsy, brassy, sassy. And let's see it in words, and let's see it in headline, and let's see it in photography. We almost missed this one. How is it that I can open up a publication and I can see vivid, great things like this, and then I get 300 yearbooks and I'm going through them, and I'm here to cheerlead. I'm seeing much more of this. That's why I'm here. Because over the last 3 years particularly, Jen and I have particularly pushed the limits of your creativity. We want you to provide this kind of feel and look for your readers, and not that same old templated 2-page facing page spread. Think about it. And we don't just do that. What do? We do sports opener, and then we do 48 more of those through the sports section. Well, don't you think that kids are going, oh, yawner, give me a break. Where's the spontaneity here? Okay, I get it that you've designed a spread. Now, stop already with the templated, standardized, beating me over the head with it. I want to see people. I don't want them to be creepy, for the lack of a better word. Splitting in fact a face in half might to some students be kind of obnoxious, for the lack of a better word. We want everybody to look the best they can look. We don't want anyone to open up a yearbook, go to the index, count the number of pages in that yearbook, and then find themselves maybe not looking good, right? Now there's a difference in candid and scary imaging. So be cautious. Put yourself in the place of the person who's pictured. If you think it's good, do it. I like the kind of unknown. They're talking about seniors, juniors. I don't see the sophomores. I don't see the freshmen. And I wish I would. But are you noticing how many of these reduced are used in alternative copy? And what do we see? We see people who are looking straight out at the camera lens. And they're framed just like their portrait pictures in the portrait section of the book. How much of that can we tolerate before we go, not no, but heck no. No more of this. Write it down. No more of those convict-looking photographs. You'll know what I mean. Think U.S. Post Office, criminals with the numbers. Okay, instead, they have a story to tell, and they're telling it. Everybody noticing there's a nice fluid left edge to this? It's not ragged on the left-hand side. And I think that's smart. What if they put that copy on the left-hand side of the picture? Somewhere along the line, we got the idea that it was so cool to scoot the copy over, ragged the left-hand edge, and flush the right-hand edge. Write this down. That adds 3 degrees of difficulty to the read. Keep your copy flush left, unless you don't want it to be read. Are you playing a game with the reader? Are you saying, try to read me? That's what people are doing when they do a ragged left edge to a caption. We're better than that. We're interested in telling a story. All right, nice headline packaging here. Nice overlap onto the dominant. Nice pool of spot color. Anybody in this room tired of having palette colors match the sections? I believe I'm ready for the photographs to dictate the pool color. Rather than sports to have a certain color, academics to have a certain color. There's a rigidity to that. And while we used to do that a couple of years ago, we're not doing that anymore. So be advised, that's outdated. Now, I have a question. Look at the nice tension in the light and dark type over on the right. Look at the fact that they put their page numbers over here in a little cube of... This is an all-boys school. And I want to say they call this chartreuse or something. I don't know what the color chartreuse is, but whatever it is. It isn't navy and gray, which is their school color. So it's a little pop of color taken from the hat and the chest in the back of the SUV. Are you noticing the 3 faces that are in those photo opinion boxes? I think the screen is stretching a little, but don't you like it that they've done something different with those than what I was talking about? Cropping them in the same old way? Yeah, makes you look and look again. Now, I think we owe our readers a promise, and then I think we ought to be reminded of it. Editors, let me see hands. Editor and chief. Hands? Okay. I'd like for you particularly to be what I call the staff police. I want you to make certain that you are, in your process of looking at pages, encouraging staffers, every single one of them, to offer the reader a chance to be seen and heard without crowding the pages. I love this. I like it because, interestingly enough, a staffer heard about this kid and watched every day when the kid wore funky socks to school and thought, why couldn't we do a feature piece on this? It'd be a perfect plug-in, especially to a section that has a lot of portraits that are dull and staged. Terrific. So I put it in because I thought it was nice. You also like that little texture that the floor creates? It's not a white background page with a white background photograph so that you can't really tell any definition. The 3 key words for this workshop are going to be the 3 words, if you will write them down. Engage, listen, and follow up. This is a piece on reporting. This is a piece on storytelling. You guys are great at this. I've never seen better yearbooks come across my desk at home than I have this year. In fact, this is the best year I think I've seen. We get all the way to the index of a book. We're fatigued, and what happens? We slap those vertical block silos, columns of type onto those pages, and we have no indication that we have a theme, perhaps, for this volume, and we're getting close to the end, and we're getting ready to close the volume. Oh no, we just run ugly-looking type in cylinders. And just because we want to know where we are in the book, of course we're going to read it. But is anybody going to remember it? It should be as vivid as any other part of that yearbook. Editors, the editorial police, put a very talented staffer on index. And right at the first of the year, assign them the task of making the theme work in the index as beautifully as it works in all the other sections. I love the compositing here. Now granted, this isn't an index, but doesn't it inspire you to see sort of the letters from the alphabet done in a creative way? Large, small, bold, light. Yeah. I also like those people who are on the right-hand side. I believe I can get it that that's an S in the upper corner. Don't you? Do we need to have the whole darn thing in there? No. I get to a sports section, and you guys are the most creative people I've ever seen with Photoshop and Art Illustrator programming. And yet, I get to the sports section, and it's rectilinear, square, horizontal, vertical, but I don't see any vividity. I don't see any spot color in different tones, necessarily. Or maybe not enough. Wouldn't it be cool to take an action picture of an athlete, interview that person using a regular Cobb cutout, but also enlarge that image, make it almost a silhouette, and create a kind of, center of visual impact? I recognize this in the yearbook spread, but come on, your newspaper people are literally snappy when it comes to good design for sports pages. If you've read any of the 3 of these, will you raise your hand? Super, super. Next year, if I come back, if you return, I'd love to see you having read 1 or more of these books. Those of you who are seniors who are getting ready to write your essay for your college apps, I think I'd like for you to read especially the one thing, but they're all good. So if I had a recommended reading list, that's what I put on it for high school seniors particularly. But I also like this notion, and I've given you an illustration, of how this magazine took an editor's letter, used a neat alphabetic enlarged Q, decorated it just a little bit, not too much, just a little bit here, and then added a Cobb of the person who's the editor, and actually looped the copy in the Q shape. Now, for the editorial police, my suggestion would be to call it letter to the reader. Much more informal, much more inviting, much more personal. The moment we say letter from the editor, in my mind, I'm thinking the two words, who cares? And I'm really afraid that there are going to be students who are looking at the page going, talk about being puffed up, full of themselves. Letter from the editor, who cares? Letter to the reader, that's saying to you, you care. You matter. I don't know what it is with this clicker, but it has a mind of its own. It's got Tourette's. At any rate, a pretty good phrase for everybody on the staff to be attentive to. Let's don't mistake activity for accomplishment. When I was a teacher in the classroom, it was very easy for me to do a couple of things. And one of them was, I really enjoyed when a staff member would work on the yearbook, give me a couple of minutes, 15, 20, 30, maybe 40, and then I gave them the opportunity to do their homework for the next class, instead of the other way around. Sometimes when you screwed up and you had done the homework for the next class comes first, and then the yearbook comes along. Should be in the opposite order. Staff management, staff motivation. Plus, I kind of like this layout because look at how they're talking to the reader. Yeah, it is. I hear that. I not only read it, I can hear somebody saying something like that. Be friendly. You like the modules at the bottom? My only consideration would be never divide a design straight in the middle, horizontally. Talk about smart. Some of these come from magazines from around the world. Some of them come from yearbooks. I really like closer look at, and then they plug in the closer looks. And these sidebars, these pieces of alternative coverage, these side salads, if you will, call them whatever you want, they shouldn't be templated either. Do you not think that your readers are smart? Do you not think that once they see a templated style for a sidebar, they're going to remember it when it appears 2 pages, and then in another 4 pages, and then in another 2 pages? I want us to be as unique with the designs of those, with a consistency idea of type and point size. And let's vary the tone of these. Otherwise, what we're saying to the reader who pays $80, $90, $100 for a yearbook, we just took the easy way out. We just made a template for 6 different sides of alternative colors, then we just plug it in here and here and here and here. Your readers are smart. They get it when we're lazy. Now, what if you come up with a kind of interesting know where to go plan, and you make it on the sides of an index card, whatever would be easiest. And as an editor, you and the staffers get together, and the editor gets to see your plan. You got a feature idea? Got an interview idea? I'd kind of like to know who are the people you're thinking about talking to with regard to this personal feature. What kind of process are you going to use? Is this the first person? What is it? And then, where do you want to see that product going? Where do you want to see this? Sorry. Lord. I am so sorry. I hate that, and it doesn't encourage. I don't have enough sense to turn it off. Do as I say, not as I do, please. All right. I thought this was very brilliant. When I first looked at it, I thought, oh my God, they didn't get any pictures for the story for this page. And so they decided they were going to glut the page with type. And then it dawned on me, what's the one thing I could do that by doing it, everything else will be easier? What's typical about high school? When you read this, it reads, whether they were, let me put on my glasses. You guys can probably be reading along better than I can. Well, I'll lay my glasses down somewhere. Anyway, it's talking in a very conversation about whether there were people who rode to school with you, whether they made an extra block to listen to their favorite music before they actually pulled into the school parking lot, yada, yada, yada. It's talking about friendships. And then they talk about how they met them, how long they've been friends, why they're friends, and now why they're no longer friends. I'm really liking the way this unfolds because there's a realism here. And yet, I can go through a whole yearbook and I never get the feeling that there were people who fell out of friendship. That school is just so happy that you just love being there every day. Your cell phone goes off, you hit the snooze button on the iPhone, wait 9 minutes, hit it again, wait 9 minutes, hit it again, and then you go vertical. I'm really ready to hit another day at school. I love that place. That's not the way the majority of your students feel, I'm quite sure. I was always ADD. And so if I had 5 minutes to get there, I didn't care if I showered or not. If I were nappy looking, so I was nappy. It's just high school. Typically high school. Don't you think that second line's important? We in our little ivory tower yearbook staffs get together and we decide what stories should be read, or done, or handled, or covered. Let's switch places with our readers. And let's think, pity that reader. What's that reader really want to think? And read, and hear. This comes from a yearbook this year. Actually, this screen is really stretching these slides. It's like crack cocaine or something. Imagine this in proportion. Okay, so, you like the light and dark type? You think it's courageous? You think the students who are interviewed here are courageous? Would this work in every school district? I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, which is smack in the middle of the Bible Belt. And I can tell you, that's courage. And that may or may not be something that in our school districts in the South we could do. I really applaud it. I also applaud this. Happening all the time on the college campuses. Also happening on high school campuses, my friends. Now, if I'm going to talk to people, I want to know that the person I was talking to knew I cared. And so I spend a little time. I find out how to exactly spell their name. I would make eye contact. And I would literally share something about myself in the process of asking questions about them. If they know you care about what you're asking about, they're going to do it. Otherwise, what are they going to do? They're going to blow you off. They're going to go, I don't have time. Or worse yet, they're going to use paralanguage. Hey, Screw, What we want is some kind of personal interaction. And I'm not teaching a course on communication necessarily here. But in my college classes, I do teach it. Because that is the one way you get underneath the skin and find the real person and the real issues that matter to that individual. Fair enough? Okay, so we got the Cosmo guy over here. What I like about it is he talks about his career curveball, what athletic teams he likes. He says always on the DVR, it reveals that he likes bachelor and bachelorette. You know, and then you go on and you read, go ahead, girl. That's his slang. I'm not going to describe why they call him a total baller. Rough and ready. And then he's got down here on the bottom tickets to Pitch Perfect 2, which I assume Skylar Aston is involved in. What I like about it is the photography. I like the words and what they ask him. It's not a typical QA. But don't you like the way the type kind of interweaves with the character? And how the character doesn't just stand up against the concrete blocks at school. Sad. beautiful book. And this is page 1's photography. And before I ever read the caption, oh, I hope I'm not putting people to sleep. Good. Before I ever read the caption, I wanted to know, what makes this picture important? And this picture, where's Harvard Westlake? What makes it important? I already know, but you tell us. Who are these people? Okay. And I think that's a particularly poignant image because the yearbook staff got the picture of the ninth graders on their retreat. Every single section of high school, every single section of middle and lower school, important in a private setting, don't you think? Book in Kansas City, Missouri. Actually, Shawnee Mission, Kansas. 6 times in their yearbook, they do what they call visual interrupters. And they just allow a double-page spread talking about a student at random that they interviewed in the hall and said, of course they had to interview 100 or 200 to get to the 6 that they wanted to really profile. But I like the friendly quality here. Now, do you think that this could be reduced to about 1/4 of a page and still be very effective? My favorite example of how to interview is Humans of New York. And if that isn't a typical high school response, I don't know what is. Yeah. I open up yearbooks and I read the stuff that it's designed, I guess, to make you look best. I want to know what you're really thinking. How many athletes are sidelined during the course of a sports season? And we see them with their casts and their bandages and everything. They're always at the games because they were on the playing field, right? And yet, why do we not get great stories about those people who've been sidelined? I mean, their heart is breaking because they worked all season to be there. And man, yikes. Now, go back a little to upper elementary, middle school. We know this guy, don't we? We know somebody like him. Okay, lighten up. Your book doesn't have to be so particularly serious. And now he's doing push-ups every morning? Now come on. The guy who wrote this also did a beautiful piece on Syria, if you've seen the video. I mean, powerful. And the reason why he got all these great comments is, you look the person right in the eye, he shook their hand, he was pleasant, he cared, and he got good stuff. And do you think he's a professional photographer? No. Have you ever walked into a class and thought, oh, everybody in here is smarter than I am? Why did I get put in this particular class? I'm concerned because we get to a senior section in the yearbook, and I never get this kind of voyeurism in the form of journalism, where we overhear parents and aunts and uncles and relatives talking at commencement. You know, we could actually interview seniors at that juncture and their families and get a super slice of humanity here. Sad, but a super slice. Okay, take out barbecue, put in Starbucks. Take out Starbucks, put in airport. Don't you think? I think I could write a book, and I have no training in psychology, about people who absolutely make me crazy. Have you noticed how impulsive and rude people are? My wife and I took May and went to South Africa and went on safari, took my camera, had a great time. Not one person was rude. None. All of them smiled, all of them were kind. And I felt like I was living in a bubble. Because I get on the plane to come home, and the moment I landed in Atlanta, people are shoving and pushing and jerking and yelling, and I'm thinking, oh God, why can't we be nice? Did we do this morning? To try to get here by 8 o'clock? Yeah, we did. I did. So, we're going to do what I just suggested. And then we're going to share a story, maybe, about a time that you, as the interviewer, got a scar. Especially if you're talking to an athlete. And then, could stories like that be converted to alternative copy sidebars? Where they talk about their scar and then they talk about their stats for the season and how they overcome the broken leg or the wrist or ankle or elbow or whatever it is? I want to know, who do you look up to? And then I want you to tell me, why is that? What has that person done that's helped you in high school? And then what if you put your answer on the left underneath the name of the person, and you put the person and you on the right? Why can't the person who's interviewing and the person they're talking about both be in that quotable, that one part of the quote? When I get to a sidebar, I'd love to read something that reveals a lot about you guys. But I get to the sidebar and it's, what is your horoscopic sign? What is your favorite color? And it's just yawner. I actually brought 3 $100 bills to the workshop a couple of workshops ago. And I stopped a kid and I said, okay, and I took out my wallet and I gave him the 3 $100 bills and I said, if you could go anywhere you wanted, where would you use this money to go? And this kid had a social conscience. He looked at me and he said, on Saturdays in Kansas City, I feed the homeless. And we're constantly in our food pantry searching for food to feed them. I'd give them the $300 and buy some food. Now don't tell me you don't have depth and soul and mind and heart. You have all of those things. We're just not revealing it in the yearbook. Pretty good question, don't you think? And all of these illustrations are generally from a 2016 yearbook from around the country. Have you ever felt like this? Have you ever felt like this when you're in your yearbook and assigned a double cake spread? And your advisor comes along and goes, show me what you got going here. And you go, oh, go away. Give me a minute. Come back in 10 minutes. Do you have a yearbook dance step? When you get real bored, fatigued, advisors, come on, put the tunes on. Get them up and going. Can you imagine that in this school of 650 people, grades K through 12, there are 65 students on the yearbook staff? 10% of the school. And they're all upper school kids. And each one was given 10 people to photograph and to interview. So they came up with questions like this. And once they asked these kids in the lower grades, they had grade 1 boys Grade 1 girls, they separate the sexes. Okay, look at how clever. And this is the way the entire book unfolds all the way through the senior class. Now, if you have 3,000 students, your advisor is going, stop already with that suggestion. But if you have a small school, why not? This particular school, an all-boys school, divided their book chronologically, and then they inserted 2 double-page spreads 4 times in the book to break the copy and content flow. It's called pacing. This student is working on a cure for Alzheimer's at the Dallas Cancer Research Center, and he's a sophomore at this high school. First spread, second spread. What are we talking about? Karma. I wouldn't doubt him finding a cure. Think about all lives matter. What if you took on the skin of an officer? I put this slide in because death is a very big deal. And if I were you growing up, I'd be exceedingly concerned about how our culture is turning. And it's becoming nasty rather than genteel and kind and civil. And that's not the United States that I grew up in. So I want better for my grandchildren. I've got 4 of them, 2 years old to 9. And those suckers deserve a better world. I'll do what I can. Look at that skull in the mountain. And look at the person sitting on that ledge. Ever had some music on? Your earphones were down and all of a sudden the music came out of the iPad and your parents were next to you and they went, and sucked air. The last page in a book from Shawnee Mission East. Is that a great photograph? And what's so great about it is you've got a double-page spread. And rather than feature one person and not the rest of the team, one person's in the forefront. Look at all the other people. They're important too. Don't you think that's a vital thing? Eek. I could write the caption for this one, couldn't you? I don't think it's daunting at all. What if you asked just 1 or 2 of these? Would we like to have a copy of this stuff? Just email me. I'll give you the address at the end. And that way you won't have to take such heavy-duty notes. Fair enough? 1 person per staff? I'll send it to you. If it'll help, I'm glad to do it. Pretty important. Shake the gut portions out of your 2016 and before, put them back together a different way. It wasn't hard for this kid. She's a gymnast. She took a selfie, or her friend did, and then she went out to really rethink the way she handled photography. I love this because in the process of shooting this JV soccer team, she met her boyfriend. You think she's got what it's like to be personal and to personalize? They had a scandal, they had a hazing scandal, and all the seniors on the team were suspended from school except this one. He was the only one left. Is that a story? You think she's got a good eye for photography? Maybe not this. They don't look good eating. We just don't. Be careful. Are they having a good time with headline packaging? If you're going to do an infographic, really do it. And quit fooling around. You think they nailed it? Look at the headline, look at the dominant picture. If those two things don't connect, you're not telling a very good story. You're not enticing your reader to read it. What about the first paragraph? Please write this down. The next time I read many, various, a lot of, several, what in the heck does that mean? 2 dozen, 1,000, what? Wow. You guys are such good observers that if I went to the back of this auditorium and I handed the microphone and this clicker, this advancer, to my friends from Houston, one person, and said, you do me, you could literally walk up and down this aisle and click, and in my voice, practically, you could mimic me. Okay, you're great observers. If I were to ask you, if I weren't standing in front of you and I were to say, okay, there's a pattern on the belt that I'm wearing. What is it? Bow ties. Because I usually wear them. I hope that's one of them. Anyway, good observers. A good observer takes this kind of picture, doesn't wait for the photo editor to do it. Please don't entrust the photo editor to take all the pictures. It's all our job. It's all about observation. I want to feel what they're feeling. I want to sense. I want to know that the reason why everybody's sweating is because they're in two-a-day football practices and those jerseys are absolutely wet with sweat because they're on their second two-a-day and it's just grimy and they smell bad and it's okay. Go to rehearsal. This person went and got a feel for that massive stadium in the capital of the state before her band and her football team went to state and won. And they put their reader in a place the reader doesn't get to go. Isn't that a cool idea? Take the reader where the reader doesn't get to go. I think it'd be very cool if you tooted your own horn. What if you take a picture inside your room of something that you guys do that nobody in the school knows what you do? You analyze your double-page spreads and you critique them. Show the reader. They don't understand why yours is the last car out of the parking lot, and they care less. But you can show them. That person was like me yesterday when I was flying over here. And she was judging yearbooks. And she said, what's the best way to do this? Are you supposed to say, Ellen said, after the quote? Or can you say, said Ellen? Well, typically I've got the answer to that. But as long as you attribute, that's the important thing. Those words, I know, bother you because we're in time bankruptcy and we're rushing to get through with the project. But the very best writer rewrites. I journal. I've done it ever since the 10th grade when an English teacher made me so mad I couldn't stand it. She called me lazy. And she said, take stuff seriously for a change. And so I started writing every day. When my daughter married, I took all of my writings about her from birth to the time I gave her to her husband. That was the start of marriage. And he read it and loved it. And then I asked for it back when she found her real marriage. But can you imagine what a father's thinking about you? And then being able to read it as the spouse to be? I want you to read these. This is the opening pages of a yearbook theme. Wouldn't it be refreshing if this were the way we wrote copy? Can you read it okay? Is there anybody in this audience that's already struggling with how you're going to write the copy for your thing? What if you let the students, in their own words, write your copy? I'm going to go back one. Readability. Pretty darn important. It's a little harder to read the red than it is this one, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Think about your reader. Do we know people who feel just that same way? Are we giving them a chance to be front and center in the opening of our yearbook, or divider, or closing? I'm not going to let you get by telling me there's nothing new going on. Oh, but there is. It's just up to us to figure out the who, the what, when, where, why. And those are your key words. And you guys have been absolutely 100% great. Thanks, and enjoy your morning.